So I guess there's a first time for everything. And on this week's Braddock Media Toy and Collectible Reviews, I'm not actually covering a sideshow statue for one. This week, I'm actually covering a Kotobukiya Marvel Venom statue. Thank you, Cherry Bomb Toys at 1410 Broad Street for lending me the statue to review today. He's pretty badass. You can see him right here. On this week's episode, I'm going to talk to you about box art as well as tell you about the character Venom. I'm going to go over the statue kind of piece by piece with a bunch of pictures. And then I'm going to give a shout out to the artist who is actually behind the sculpt, as well as some really epic shots and video of the statue during that time. So stay tuned and let's cover box art.
Oh.
Wait a minute, before we go over the box art, why don't we learn a little bit more about Eddie Brock, aka Venom here, the guy underneath this costume. To do that, we kind of have to bounce back a little bit to Spider-Man. So with Spider-Man, during the Secret Wars, which I do not have time to go over in this episode, if you want to know who's good at telling secrets, check out Google. Google will tell you everything. Anywho, so there's a little bit of a spoiler. What happened was during the Secret Wars, Spider-Man's suit got destroyed, and he ended up finding this puddle of goo, ended up merging with him and creating the black suit Spider-Man. And what Spider-Man didn't really know at the time, Peter Parker, it was that it was actually an alien parasite called a symbiote that attached to him, and it was feeding off of his anger and just, all of his rage. And Spider-Man kind of became this angry person, and eventually realized it, separated from the suit, and became the superhero Spider-Man again. But when the suit ended up separating, it found Eddie Brock. Once he got the symbiote, he found out all of Peter's secrets, like who he loved, the fact that he was Spider-Man, and it fueled the anger and rage even more because it just felt like he was making a mockery of him instead of, I mean, that's how he got the shots before anybody else because he was Spider-Man. So now that we kind of covered a little bit about that in the previous episode with Carnage, watch that, you'll find out how Carnage was created and a little bit more about that character as well. Now that you know a little bit more about this really cool villain here and how he kind of ties into the Spider-Man series, let's talk about the box art. So the box art is really beautiful and clean. A lot of overseas boxes are like this. They're just logoing one picture, and sometimes they're a little bit more extravagant, but a lot of times they're just very clean, very beautiful. I mean, it's all about the actual statue. It's not about kind of pepping up the box art, because usually they just get stored in a closet. Anyways, the front of this is actually really beautiful. I'll show you here while turning it. Got a gold lettering to it. It's really nice, very flashy. The side of this you're not actually going to be able to see on here because of all the lighting in this place. It's got a raised Venom logo here on the top and on the other side. There isn't much besides that. It's, again, very elegant. We'll go to the back of the box. So the back of the box, of course, shows you the current statue that you have here, as well as the Spider-Man that kind of teams up with this one. Their bases are actually designed to match to look like this epic standoff between the two of them and Spider-Man coming in. It's really cool. I hope I actually get that piece at some point to review on the show. Now that you know about Eddie, you've seen the box art, let's head over to the breakdown of this statue. It almost looks like we're going to have a battle royale here in Breakdown this week. Instead, I wanted to show you the size comparison in between the Carnage that we reviewed last week, as well as the Venom that we're currently doing on the show today. The Carnage is 18 inches tall, kind of a good fact. I don't think I actually included that in last week's episode. The Venom here is 10 inches tall. The other reason I wanted to show you is the face of Venom, and as well as the face of Carnage. The detailing on both of these statues is so beautiful. It's so well sculpted, so detailed. I really love the shine and gloss that they kind of kept in the mouth, but kind of kept off the statue as a whole. They had to include it on Carnage because of the way that kind of gloss and shine in the comics when it came to the black. I thought that was a really nice touch. This I wouldn't have minded a tiny little bit of sheen on him, but not a gloss. I think that would have looked not as Venom and traditional, which is what they were going for here. The purple, dark black, blue really kind of suits that hue of what they normally Venom suit ends up looking like. Now that you've kind of seen that, and the other tie-in that I was talking about earlier in the episode of how this is still a sideshow is not because I brought this one guy on the show. It's because the artist who did this statue sculpt actually has done sculpt for Sideshow as well. I'll tell you about that in the shout out and go over all the different details and projects that he's worked on. He's a really cool artist, so stay tuned for that with a bunch of video of this statue right after that. So going back to this, we're going to get some shots in here. Here is a full front kind of profile shot and a little bit of an up close on the face and neck detailing here. Really amazing. Like the sculpting and the vein work and the anatomy on this statue is so well done. This man who did this sculpt is world renowned, and it really shows when it comes to his artwork. My favorite part on this, and it sounds weird, is his back. As you can see in this picture, the spine sculpt on this is just sick. Like, I love it. It's so good and it's so detailed. So cool. And yeah, just really great muscle work there. He just looks so pumped and aggro. Great stance, great pose, especially with the Spider-Man that's kind of swooping in. It just looks like they're just ready to just get right in there with each other. So now here's a shot of the right side of the statue and his hand. And now here's a shot of his left. As I said, it was just two pieces on this sculpt. That's it. There's no hands that come out. There's no heads that come off. Actually, very similar to this guy here, besides the little things that kind of come out, it's just a body and a base mostly. A lot of the times the ones from overseas are they are this way. They're just one full solid body as well as the base. You don't usually get a lot of like crazy attachment pieces. They keep it very clean, very simple. It's actually very elegant and beautiful when it comes to the design. The base looks like just a battle scene, like they've already wreaked havoc in the city and they're just kind of like finally going in for the last clash together. The detailing on it's really great. As you can see in this picture of the shot of the base, the rocks, and the different pieces of debris from the building. Now that we've gone over all the pieces on here, you've seen a couple up-close shots. Again, let's go to video, and we'll talk about the artist who ended up going over this in the next segment. Usually in shoutouts, we cover so many different artists on one statue. On this week's Kotobukiya Venom, we have one artist that actually did all the painstakingly beautiful detail on this sculpt. His name is Eric Sasa. Eric has over 18 years of experience working for different toy and collectible companies in this industry. To this day, he is one of the only American sculptors working for two of the biggest Japanese collectible companies in the world. He has also worked worldwide for different companies such as Mattel, Disney, Funko, Sideshow Collectibles, McFarlane, Hasbro, Mezco, and that's just to name a few. Eric Sasa is definitely on his way to being a master of his craft, capturing any style in the sculpting spectrum and bringing it to life. Seriously, don't miss out on more videos. Click that subscribe button below, give a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I would love to hear your comments in the comment section. See you all next week.